if you ever struggled and every single plug weld isn't coming out perfect for you, because it should. Basically, you're only pulling the trigger on your gun here, right? You don't have to move. So it's point and shoot, really. And if you have had problems or are having problems with this practice, you know, plug welds, then stick around and I'll explain to you how to get better plug welds. And there is one thing, it's 90% of the reason why you're not getting good plug welds. It's 90% of it. And the other 10% is you pulling the trigger. I mean, what's difficult about that, right? There's nothing difficult about with your left hand making a tripod, right? And on your right hand, you're holding a gun and you're pointing it into one direction. You know, you could actually do plug welds with your eyes closed. That's the truth, guys. You could also cut out with your cutting disc on the grinder. You could just cut a little piece here, you know, 4 or 5 mil deep into it by 3 mil. So the other cutting disc, the old cutting disc, the original cutting disc, not the grinding disc, the cutting disc, and go back there with your cutting disc, and you know, you can fill it from out here. Yeah, so that's another way of doing it rather than all the drilling. But the drilling is, you know, it's almost, yeah, back to original. So, and that's what we aim for. We aim for, you know, as close as possible to original. And if I take you under, you'll see what's going on. Yeah. You can see all those holes all the way along. I want to go, and it's 35 millimeters, okay, on the longest way. So from here to here is 35 millimeters. You guys in stateside, that's 1 inch and 3/8, okay? So that's the distance we need, 1 inch and 3/8. 1 inch and 3/8, yeah? And you'll see that that's roughly. So what I done was I just marked that up, each one, yeah? And that way, when you break it all up, you get your 37. We wanted 37 spot welds. If you remember when we ripped off this pig's tail, yeah? You remember? That was on there like so. Hi guys, welcome back. Listen. This video is not the video I was going to make, okay? This video is all about plug welding and how to get the perfect plug weld, okay? I know that there's a lot of people out there struggling with plug welds, okay? And it wasn't possible for me to go through and make the video that I was supposed to be making when in fact we're looking at 80 plug welds. 52 plus 37, right? It's 89, no? So, 89 plug welds, and I don't make the video about plug welds. It doesn't matter whether you're putting in your floor pans, or your floors, or in this case, the sills, okay? That's what we're at. And this video is all about plug welds and how to get better plug welds. Yeah? It's a simple thing to do, and it has been missed by an awful lot of people because they think that there's certain things that you must put on, okay? Yeah, so look, I'm going to go in depth on this, right? If you ever struggled and every single plug weld isn't coming out perfect for you, because it should. Basically, you're only pulling the trigger on your gun here, right? You don't have to move, so it's point and shoot, really. And if you have had problems or are having problems with this practice, you know, plug welds, then stick around and I'll explain to you how to get better plug welds. And there is one thing, it's 90% of the reason why you're not getting good plug welds. It's 90% of it. And the other 10% is you pulling the trigger. I mean, what's difficult about that, right? There's nothing difficult about with your left hand making a tripod, right? And on your right hand, you're holding a gun and you're pointing it into one direction. You know, you could actually do plug welds with your eyes closed. That's the truth, guys. Okay, guys. So it's like, if you remember, it was about 37, 37. So 5mm drill bit, and I'll go on afterwards and punch out just a second to 7. I'll show you all of how I marked them up. You know, there's little marks here. I'll get you closer and I'll show you how I you know, how I get that done. Yeah, that's a process in itself. But yeah, all the way along, that'll be our top holes, because you can't get like a spot welder and heads. You possibly can, but I don't have such a tool. So again, like I said, if you haven't got a tool, you've got to go around it. I'd love to have this tool. I don't have this tool. It's my intention to get this tool, and I'm working on it. But for this one, and for, you know, this is the method. You could also cut out with your cutting disc on the grinder. You could just cut a little piece here, you know, 4 or 5mm deep into it, by 3mm. So the other cutting disc, the old cutting disc, the original cutting disc, not the grinding disc, the cutting disc, and go back there with your cutting disc, and you know, you can fill it from out here. Yeah, so that's another way of doing it rather than all the drilling. But the drilling is, you know, it's almost, yeah, back to original. So, and that's what we aim for. We aim for, you know, as close as possible to original. Hey guys, just to show you what I've been doing, yeah. As you can see, firstly, if you concentrate on where I'm pointing, yeah, you can see there's a little mark, okay? And I'll show you in a bit how I work all that out, okay? But that's the first thing, okay? So and also you'll notice, look, right? All these where the old spot welds were. I think I showed you that already. So they're all cleaned, okay? And there's a reason for that, and I'll explain that as well very soon. So what we have is we're putting holes here on all these marks, and we're going back in, you know, about maybe 8 or 10mm back in. So you can see there the holes, yeah. God, we haven't seen any of that for a while, have we? Yeah, the flickering, I mean. So you can see the shadows, right? There's your lights coming through the holes. So the hole is up on this piece, right? Where the roller will be going along, okay? So all that will have to be cleaned back nice and smooth again in a while, okay? So, yeah. And sorry about the shaking, guys. Just reach over here. You see? You see that? That'll be where we're putting our wire in, yeah? In there. Now we will have it turned up, because this is thicker than 1 mil, okay? And what we're going down to, the sill is about 1 mil, okay? So how I'll do that is I will have the juice turned up so that I just hit it and fill it. Sorry, just hit it and fill it, yeah? And that will be about our position there. Like what you see there now. I'm sorry about that flickering. I don't know where that's after coming from. But there. That'll be our situation, yeah? I think this light is causing the problem, guys. Let me just do that out of the way. It's probably too bright or something. I think I may have problems with this camera, guys. But anyway, that's what I'm talking about there, look. Yeah? Okay. There's your holes. 7 mil hole. Yeah? All the way along. Still got to get K-rust on this, guys. Yeah? But K-rust is going to be, oh sorry, I beg your pardon, pour 15. Pour 15 will be going on this here. And up top, but not out. Not out. I'll probably be coming to here. Yeah? And then I'll stop it at that. There's no point putting it in here. It's got K-rust in there and it's got galvafried on there. Right? So enough. From here inwards and down. And again, I won't be touching this area here. So where you see that, guys, I'll explain all of that later on. Right? There's a reason. And we're going to go into it on this video. Yeah? Because it needs to be explained. So you can see there now. Yeah? Yeah, we don't need that light now. So the holes along there, guys. And we're going to continue on all the ways up. Yeah? Okay, guys. Just to give you a look now. Yeah? And what you can see. You can see all these 7 mil holes. 7 millimeters. Right? And you can see the marks. Hopefully you can see that there's a little black line there. Okay? I'll show you how I figured that, and you know the reason why it's there. You see those little black marks? Okay. So you can see where we are. And if I take you under, you'll see what's going on. Yeah? You can see all those holes all the way along. I don't want to go too quick because that wouldn't look too good on screen, but you can see. Yeah? And they're clean around the hole, but the galvafried and the K-rust and all the protection is still between each hole, okay? So there's no fear of that rotting out. Yeah? And now on the top, right, we've done nothing apart from cleaning where we're going to be welding. Yeah, as you can see. That's where I was saying all the grease is up there, in there. Well, that's cleaned out obviously now. But there's nothing on top apart from the holes, right, that we'll be welding into, plug welding into. And that's the only way possible. Like I said, you could cut in there, cut back 4 or 5 mil by 3 mil and weld it as well. But then all the front is gone. Yeah? And that's more noticeable afterwards. But you could do that. Yeah? If you didn't want to drill all these holes. You know? So, and down the bottom, every place where we're going to put a weld. In this case, it'll be the spot welder. And also, guys, in this case, I've also had to clean back to bare metal at the back here, the back of this plate, yeah? Because the spot welder won't do the weld if it's rusted on the back here, etc. Yeah? So we will be spotting all the bottom will be done with a spot welder. And all the top, because you can't get the spot welder into it, yeah, will be plug welded and dressed back. Yeah? There's a lot of work on it. And to make sure then that everything is good as well as regards level. Can you see that, guys? So there's no, yeah, there's a little bit of too much light on there, guys, but can you see? Everything is level. It's only a small light I've got on top, but it's still blowing it out. So look, guys, now, how's that? You can see there's no gap, okay? No gap. You can see the holes, what it looks like through the yellow. You can see the yellow shining through the holes. Okay, that's just to give you an idea, guys, of what's going on, okay? And of course, look. Yeah. So, the sill, guys, okay? Turn you around. So there's one drill loaded with that bit, which is a 7mm drill bit. And like a 5mm drill bit, okay? So that's our drills. Put those down there. And I'm going to chat to you now for a minute about the process, yeah? So what I done was, you'll see here on this sill, okay? You can see I have all these marked, okay? And what I came up with, guys, was a piece. I cut a piece. This is just a piece I cut, right? And it's 35mm, okay, on the longest way. So from here to here is 35mm. You guys in stateside, that's 1 inch and 3/8, okay? So that's the distance we need, 1 inch and 3/8. 1 inch and 3/8, yeah? And you'll see that that's roughly, so what I done was I just marked that up, each one, yeah? And that way, when you break it all up, you get your 37. We wanted 37 spot welds. If you remember when we ripped off this pig's tail, yeah? You remember? That was on there like so. See? And we took it off with the chisel. A couple of videos back. That's how I established what the distance was between these spot welds. Okay? So if you see here, roughly, approximately, each one. Yeah? So that's how we get our, so it's 35mm, 1 inch and 3/8. And that's the gap. Okay? So if you're doing this, that's the gap. And of course, rather than, you know, with your tape or etc., just make a little piece like this, one time, a one-off piece for what you want. And where's them little lines? Can you see the lines on it, guys? Getting blown out all the time. I might have to change my lighting, yeah? I'll do another video on new lighting. But guys, you can see, hopefully you can see that there now, look. Yeah, now you're a bit close, but that's 1 inch and 3/8, okay? And what I done was, come with us, I offered up, this lamp is going to have to go, guys. Sorry about this. Okay. So what I done was, I offered up the sill. And now you can see what I done. I think you can anyway. So there you go, look, with my marker, okay? I gripped with a vice grips the bottoms just to keep it in position, and I transferred my marks onto the top. You see? Just onto the face here. Yeah? Just onto the face from the sill. Right? And the reason for that is almost obvious now. Okay? The reason for that is there will be no paint wherever I'm putting a weld. So I will be welding down through that hole onto the top of this. And now I will just give that just one little run across with my little disc, just to take that paint off it, just where it's being welded as well. Okay, so it'll be painted between the holes. It'll be protected between the holes, guys. Yeah? And there's the reason for that is, right? I said I would tell you this in a minute. Now, I've done it the same here at the bottom, okay? And I'm going to put you on there now, and I'm going to explain something to you about this. This needs to be painted. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put masking tape just along here, right? We don't need to protect. There's plenty of protection on there, guys, between the holes, okay? There's crust and there's galvafried. Pour 15 will be all this area and into that area in there, okay? That'll be pour 15, and I put pour 15 up top as well, but it doesn't need pour 15 here. You can't weld through that, right? So I'm going to explain now about why I do this method, okay? Like I was saying, we've drilled all these holes now, okay? And we're going to weld, we're going to plug weld those, yeah? And into the top of this sill, yeah? And with my little, bear with me, this is very important, guys. With Herbie, my little, the new, you know, the little, this guy, I'll show you an example of what I'm going to do here, right? And then you'll know what I mean. Okay, so where there's a line like that, you can see that line, all those lines. Every place where there's a line, I'm going to clean it because we painted that already, remember? And when I say clean it, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Just give it a little tip of whatever tool you like on the line, so that when your wire goes through, and this is the problem that thousands of people make this mistake, guys. You cannot weld into paint, okay? You cannot weld onto paint. Paint is a contaminant. It's the same as oil, grease, or water, or dirty metal, rust, okay? And that's the mistake that a lot of people are making as regards welding in floor pans and etc, etc. It doesn't matter what panel it is, okay? It doesn't really matter what panel it is. If you want a successful plug weld, then you cannot weld. It doesn't matter what kind of primer it is. You know what I'm saying? It really doesn't matter. What we're talking about, guys, is we're talking about 1 millimeter. And I spoke about this before. It's 1 millimeter thick. And it's microseconds from the time you pull that trigger and you have taken your blob off the end of the wire. Because that's a really good practice as well. It's really the same theory I'm talking about. If you leave the blob on the end of the wire, then the wire is dirty. In real terms, guys, that's the same as welding into rust, because there will be a resistance when you pull that trigger. So, getting back to it, the metal is 1 millimeter thick. When you pull that trigger, The wire needs to be clean. The metal needs to be clean. But where you have put your hole for the plug weld and the receiving metal, both of those surfaces need to be clean. Now, I'm not saying don't put paint between them. What I'm saying is the area where the wire is going to be hitting needs to be clean. It doesn't need primer on it, trust me. And it doesn't need any kind of primer. You know, weld-through primer has its place. But when you're trying to, with 0.6 wire, 0.23, or 0.8 wire, or 1.2 millimeter, you know, it doesn't really matter. When you get down to 1 millimeter stuff, when you get down to auto body stuff, 1 millimeter thick, a split second on the trigger, that's all it is. At the longest, it's going to be 1 second and go. 1 Mississippi, that's all it is. And what you're pushing out from the end of that trigger at the end of your gun is 60 amps. And if you have paint, any kind, even weld-through primer, on there, there's your resistance. And like I was saying a minute ago, you don't need resistance when you only have that window. It has to be clean and it has to be true. Do you know what I'm trying to say? I'm trying to explain it here that it has to be clean metal. Where you're going welding has to be clean metal. If you want a successful plug weld, something that you think, you know, that you're proud of, and it was easy to do it. It's always easy to do it, guys. If you follow that practice, you'll see. You will see. Now, you can have paint between there and the next place where you're going to clean. Here, leave the paint between. Because listen, here's the science of it, okay? You're getting up to 1200 degrees Celsius or whatever, right? I have read up years ago on exactly the kind of heat that it takes to create molten metal, okay? A science on metallurgy. I've read it, right? Part of my studies. But, so don't quote me on how many thousands or 1,200, I forget. It could be 2,000 degrees, I'm not sure, okay? But what I'm saying to you is that, you know, you'll see when you lift up your screen, you'll see the metal is red and glowing. Okay? Think about that. Here's my point. If the metal is red and glowing, don't you think whatever paint you put onto it, where you went in with your wire into the plug hole, don't you think that it has burnt off by now? Yeah? It's burnt off. This isn't going to glow red and when it cools down, your primer is still on it. Exactly. Exactly. You think about that, right? And that's the primer that's preventing you guys from, and maybe, you know, wrongly being annoyed with yourself. Because that's exactly what you will be. You'll be annoyed that you can't get the results. And when you see other people doing it, it looks so easy. I'm telling you, I have 40 years experience at this. Don't be putting contaminants where you're going to weld. End of. Whatever you put there is going to burn off. So it's irrelevant. You know, it's irrelevant. You're not going to have a successful weld if you start putting any kind of primer there. And I quoted about 60 amps, okay? That's for body work. Weld-through primer, okay? No problem. But not where you're welding. Not where you're plug welding at 60 amps. It's going to cause restriction. And your weld, your plug weld, will not come out the same as it should. Because it has to burn that off. And there's a delayed reaction already from trying to get through to the metal. And when it does finally, you know, when the wire burns at the bottom, it's burning this contaminant as well. And then you have to let go of your trigger because you've been on there long enough and it's not pooling right for you. And there's the whole time capsule of it. It's not pooling right. It's a broken, it's one part of it has in that 6, 7, 8 mil hole, one part of it is kind of okay, but the rest of it hasn't gone on. That's because the paint has to go someplace. And this is all microsecond stuff. So, you know, if you were welding 4 or 5 millimeter thick, right? Box section, angle iron, plate, whatever. Then, and you're in excess of 100 amps or 120 or 140 amps, no problem, right? I can burn oil off. I'll just keep my trigger pulled and keep my trigger pulled and keep my trigger pulled. Or pull it, let it go, pull it, let it go, pull it, let it go. And the heat builds up and guess what? It'll burn the oil off. But the weld will look like buds. I can't say. My granddaughter could be watching. So, you know what I'm saying. Yeah? Clean metal. It's only that area where you're dropping in the 1 second pull. Right? On your trigger. It's only that area. It has to be clean metal. That's the secret. So put the work in, put the effort in cleaning every place where there's a little black line. Where your hole is going to be. Yeah? These are the holes I showed you earlier. They're the holes. They correspond with all these black dots, guys. Right? And that's how you do a floor pan. If you're doing the pans in your car. Yeah, and the weld isn't working out right. That's it there. That's how it's done. You can draw a little line along here if you want. Every one of them. You don't have to. Okay? This is how long it takes, guys. Look. I'll just stick these bits of glass down here over my... Yeah? Right? That's it. That's all you need. It took a second or less. That's it. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah? Or 4 done right there. You just clean just where you're going to be putting down. Now I guarantee you guys, and you'll see it anyway. You'll see yourself. Yeah? We've done this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, when I clamp all this up in position and everything, and pull everything, squeeze everything together, and when I get my gun, right, and I put it in here, I'm going to hit that straight away. Clean metal. It's just going to burn in there. I'm going to put my lovely spot weld, my plug weld in there, and it's going to be perfection. And guys, that's how you do it, okay? That's how you get the perfection. Trust me. That's how you get every single plug weld all looking the same, with no, you know, no issues, okay? Not half welded or holes, you know, because that paint is taking time to burn. Or primer. The primer is the word I should use, really. Obviously, you're not painting. The primer is taking time to burn, and you don't have that. If you wait around for that to burn, you'll have blown through your work, okay? So I hope I have explained that. Yeah? Oil, grease, water, corrosive, you know, any kind of agents, anything like that. Guys, at the end, there's no such thing, right? There's no such thing as, yeah? Clean metal, where you're going to put your plug weld. Clean. This one and this one. Clean. And there's your secret. Mark everything with your marker. You know, if I just wanted to go crazy here and I just wanted to drill the holes willy-nilly, all right, okay, that's fine. I drill my holes willy-nilly. I offer up my sill, right? I get my marker, yeah. I get my marker. And I just go like this, look. Mark it up, like this, guys. Yeah? Now we're in a hole here. Imagine if this wasn't, if this wasn't there. Okay? And you have your hole, you have your marks. That's my point, yeah? There's restriction here. This is like, I can't get the spot welder in here, guys. Yeah, the spot welder should be able to go there now and just spot weld it all like it was in the factory. But we can't do that, yeah? But like I say, guys, that's my point. That is the most important thing, yeah, that I can tell you guys. Don't beat yourself up that those spot welds didn't come out right, and that's not your fault, think about it, okay? I'm referencing 1200. Maybe I'm wrong about the actual temperature, but it's probably way over, if anything, right? Molten metal, when it's red, glowing, what's that temperature, okay? But like I said, I've been at this so long now, okay? I was welding when I was 12. I know what I'm talking about, yeah? I've been welding for almost 50 years. And this is the way to do it. This is trouble-free, right? You have your paint in between, right? When a lot of panels in the factory are being put together, there is no paint, yeah? It's after the fact that the thing gets painted. So even robotics won't. And I've worked with robotics as well. They're not going to weld paint. Nobody welds paint. Don't you try. Don't bother. Give it up. That's the problem, right? So that's it, guys. That really is it now. I can't, I've said it. There it is. That's how it's done. Trust me. That's how it's done. Yeah? This one, down the bottom, will be the spot welder. We'll have the spot welder on that one. Yeah? And as you can see, I've cleaned up all these. And I'll be putting marks on here now. And I'll be cleaning just where that is there. I'll be transferring it there and giving it this little guy. Herbie will be out again, and I'll be cleaning that there. And we won't have any issues from the spot welder either. So that's, you know what I mean? So now all I'm going to do now, guys, is I'm going to paint this with Por 15, right? I'm going to put masking tape on here and cover this, because I don't want to get Por 15 down here. I don't need it. It doesn't need to be down here, right? And I'll stay away from the holes along the bottom here that I showed you a while ago, okay? And that is it, guys. I've told you my story. I've told you now and shown you how to, and you see the difference. And if you want to get a couple of scraps of metal, okay? Spray one of them and try your plug welds. And then clean up the next one under your plug holes. Clean it up, right? Just give it a little clean. Anyone that's in the business long enough would tell you this. That's, you can't weld paint or primer, oil, grease, water, rust. It won't work out for you. Top tip, guys. Yeah? Okay, guys, so with that, we're going to leave it there, I think. I've just realised the time and we're running late again on this one. So I hope you liked the tips and tricks and the methodology behind how to achieve the perfect spot welds, etc. That's some really strong information there. And I see a lot of people make that mistake out there. Way too many people, and blaming themselves. That's the worst part of it. And it's not necessary. If you follow that, those guidelines that I've shown on this video, you won't have any problems. You will be laying down perfect plug welds. Trust me. Yeah, that's how it's done. And there's no other way of doing it. It's metal to metal. Yeah. So if you enjoyed the content, and hopefully your welds will improve, I'm sure they will if you practice what I've been saying there. Please like, share, subscribe, click the notification bell for continuation on this. Yeah. And Buster has gone off to bed, so I'm on my own here. Yeah. Thanks for watching, guys, and have a nice week. Yeah. Ciao.